Hi everyone, my name is Kara, and I wanted to share a little bit of my story and what Craig Duffield means to me. I've known Craig since I was about 9 or 10 years old. He used to come with mission teams to Emily City Methodist Church, which is the church I grew up in, located in a little nowhere town in Michigan. I still don't know how they found us. Through these trips, my mom and Craig forged a friendship, the depths of which I didn't know until after my mom had passed and I came to South Africa. Craig told me how they used to phone each other regularly and how she even spoke with little Luke and Sarah. So he would come with his mission teams and my mom would make sure to host him. He would stay only a couple days with us, and our time with him was precious. As Sunday nights encroached and Monday mornings brought the depressing reality of school, Craig, Mike, and I would pray for a snow day. And of course, with a so highly favored a man praying with us on our side, school was called off the next morning and our day was free to spend with Craig. It was actually unbelievable. When he would come in the winter, we would pray for a snow day. It was routine to pray for a snow day, and school would be called off the next day, and sometimes even 2 or 3 days in a row. As a little girl, I admired Craig. I was enamored by his presence. I had no idea the plans God had. I had no idea how involved he'd become in my whole family's lives. My 3 older brothers took a gap year after they graduated high school and spent time in South Africa doing missions. Craig had touched each of their lives uniquely and significantly. And I think when it had gotten down to the last Canjar board, there wasn't a question of whether I was coming, just of when. I arrived in South Africa for the first time in January of 2010. Craig picked me up in his Land Rover from the airport. Little Luke and Sarah had tagged along. We drove to his house. Mamma Mia was blaring on the radio. Luke, Sarah, and even Craig sang along. We dropped my bags at his house and then promptly left for a cricket game. I thought I knew a sports fanatic once, but then I lived with Craig. 2010, the year the FIFA World Cup came to South Africa. Craig was determined to watch all the soccer games and go to as many matches as he could, and he was successful at it as well. He even made it to the final in Johannesburg, which I know was something on his bucket list. But Craig lived and breathed anything sport. Sport was constantly playing on the TV at the duffields. Rugby, cricket, tennis, race cars, and American sports. I've never watched so much sport in my life as I did that year. Craig would get up at 2 in the morning to watch the NBA playoffs. I support the Detroit Pistons in basketball, but my word, I'm an American, and my support for them was totally outmatched by Craig's enthusiasm for sport in general. I arrived in South Africa in 2010 at the tail end of my mother losing a very arduous and painful battle with brain cancer. Craig and Karen took me in, placed me in a loving church family, and loved on me like their own. I never experienced God the way I experienced Him that year. And when my time was coming to an end, God had given me a word through various loving people about being a nurse and studying in South Africa. After I'd gone home and that word was tried and tested, Craig was there to pick me up in 2012 to start my 4-year journey at university studying nursing. Craig and Karen guided me, mentored me, supported me, and fought for me through what felt like a 4-year battle in nursing school. I literally would have only been finishing up my nursing this year if Craig didn't go to the university himself and fight for me that I'd be placed in the 4-year program instead of the 5. Time never felt wasted with him. He would call me up to have a beer, and even though he knew I had to study or take a test the next day or go into work, I couldn't say no. Time was precious with him. He had faith in me, sometimes too much. He called me out of one of my nursing classes to join him on a tour. He was taking an Ironman from France to some local game parks, and he wanted me to translate for them. And I thought, yeah, my French is pretty okay, so I agreed to go. But by the end of the tour, the Frenchman preferred to communicate in his French that was more broken than my English, rather than have me translate anymore. Craig didn't call upon my translation skills after that. Craig and Karen were always there for me. I would call them about a situation I was drowning in, and they would pull me up out of the depths with one big swoop and place me back on my feet. They'd give me a hard time about it later, but they weren't going to let me drown. My time with Craig was short. Craig's time on this earth was short, and yet there are countless memories and endless stories of him and how he impacted so many lives. I remember walking through a grocery store with Craig, and I was standing next to him thinking, who is this guy? The mayor of Port Elizabeth? I swear, everywhere we went, someone would come up and greet him. It really didn't matter where we were. He knew someone or someone knew him some way, somehow. And that was testament to who he was and how he lived his life. I had to leave South Africa, but I wanted to get back. I was looking forward to doing so many more things with Craig. I wanted to embrace him again in all of his warmth and safety. I wanted to get back to tell him how I loved him and how grateful I am for him and the love he showed me. How his godliness and the way he chased after the things of God filled me with hope. I wanted to get back to have another beer with him so I could see how he was doing, to see where God was taking him, to speak about life, to find reassurance, to make plans. I wanted to get back so we could watch another movie together, so he could fall asleep on the couch and start snoring to everyone's annoyance. I wanted to get back to him because he was a father I adored. But God in his infinite wisdom had other plans. Knowing Craig was to catch a glimpse of God's Father's heart. I'm so encouraged by Craig, but even more than that, I am so encouraged by God. What a beautiful, glorious hope we have. What a beautiful and glorious hope God gave us in his Son. God made a way for us so that death cannot defeat us. Let's not be short-sighted in this life. This life is not the end-all and be-all, for we are destined for eternity. And what we do on this earth, that goes into it. How much more do I want to chase harder after the things of God? There is such a fullness of life to be had in it. To love sacrificially, to value others' lives, even above my own. I know I will see Craig again, just like I know I will see my mom again. And there is no better place to meet them than where they are now. Be so encouraged, friends. Karen, Luke, and Sarah, I love you guys so much, and I wish I could be there with you today. But I'll see you soon.